Here with your update for the month of July. I hope everybody is doing well, and I really look forward to giving you some information to move forward with. Excuse me, it's a little bit later in the day, and I've written some notes out. I want to make sure I have them accessible to get to them during the section here. So, couple things that I want to go through. First off, things are picking up out in phase 8. You're going to see a lot of things moving forward. I've got some pre-drywall starting off in there. I've got quite a few in the process of getting ready to go to pre-drywall. If you're one of these people, you will be getting your report shortly. And some dates move based on this build speeds of the time. Any date that I've originally was set up in the system is basically a placeholder. We put that in our system so we can input everything in there. We keep everything on a spreadsheet. We use Gantt charting, we use Excel, we use Outlook, we use about every piece of technology out there to make our life a little bit easier when it comes to planning the week ahead and the many weeks in front of us. So I want to go over things and talk about you and talk about what's going on. So first off, I've had a couple questions about how we inspect and what we do. So to answer these questions for you, I'm just going to kind of go through step by step through the 3-phase process, one being the pre-drywall, one doing the final, one during the 11-month warranty. Those are our 3 landmark inspection dates. That does not mean we're only inspecting at those times. We're walking the lots weekly. We are sending updates out to you every 10 business days. I'm sorry if I'm scratching a lot. I'm a little sunburnt and tired. So as we are walking the house on a weekly basis, we're talking to your builders. That doesn't necessarily, we're sitting there having a 30-minute conversation. I always tend to lean towards less is more in the sense that if I find something, I'm going to call the builder about it. If I have a question about something, I'm going to call the builder about it. If I have a concern about something, I'm going to call the builder about it. We find that it's better to be proactive than reactive. I've had a couple people ask me about their underground plumbing and slab prep inspection report. We do not do an inspection report for that because that's such a critical time sensitive area. Underground plumbing and slab tend to move rather quickly unless weather doesn't cooperate. So we're not going to hold the process up if we see something, because at that critical point, we tend to look at those items very thoroughly. And, when it comes down to underground plumbing, it's a fairly easy inspection. We're making sure the drops have the proper fall, making sure your standpipe is holding water before the city comes out, making sure all the points are connected and glued well together, making sure everything's along that lines. From that point, you're going to go to your slab prep. During your slab prep, we're looking at, I've gone through this with another one of my updates I put out there. We're looking at the chairs, we're looking at the footers, we're looking at the fiscaline, we're looking at everything all over again. Now, you could sit in slab prep for 2 days. You could sit in slab prep for a week to a week and a half. Sometimes a little bit longer, depending on if the weather, Mother Nature is going to cooperate or not. Once that slab is poured, we're going to do some photography on the slab to make sure we're looking at any cracks, any type of foundation issues, making sure we can memorialize in the picture where the standpipes are, where your plumbing connections are. There are some times where you're going to find that maybe there might be H and an L spray painted onto your slab. That stands for high and low. That's for them to note the high spots and the low spots before they start framing the house out. There are areas in that framing, in that slab, that they're going to grind down that is very dependent on the framing, that it's as flush as possible and as level as possible. Or you might have the propensity for bowed trusses or anything along that line, bowed studs. That's one of the reasons why they happen. Following that, we are still walking a lot weekly. We're talking to the builder. We're trying to address everything throughout the process. I have had a couple of questions as to, truss work and deficiencies that are found by other inspectors. We still find them. We don't find them. I guess we've been lucky. We tend to find them throughout the process, but we address them throughout the process so that they're addressed before we do our report. Between our lot walks, with my father-in-law, my lot walks that are weekly, we tend to find them early on in the process and address them then so that they don't have to go in a report, that they're corrected, that if a structural engineer's letter is needed, they will. There are things that we do that other inspectors don't do, and there's other things other inspectors don't do that we do. We will not walk on the framing of the interior of the home, such as we will not walk on the trusses. As number one, it's against OSHA policy and very much frowned upon by the builder. Number two, the propensity for damage to be caused at that time is rather high. There's nothing that you can see that you need to see, or there's nothing you're going to miss by inspecting the way we inspect, especially through our multiple lot walks. Let me put it this way: if you have a 3-month period from form boards to our pre-drywall, we've probably walked that house, let's say in 15 weeks, 22 to 25 times. We would have caught it. So be very cognizant of that. We are looking at everything along that lines. We're looking at it multiple times. So when we get to your pre-drywall inspection, we're going to break everything down into bite-sized pieces. We're going to give you a little bit more education on the building process. You're going to learn more about the building process in that report than probably you want to know. And for those of you that are in construction out there, who are moving down here to retire, it will make sense. I always live by the whole, I'm kind of this little one-liner person that likes to believe in these little nuggets of knowledge. When you start reading your inspection report, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Pay attention to your summary. Your report will be emailed to your building supervisor when it's emailed to you. That is in the agreement that we are going to send that through to your building supervisor and yourself. Complete transparency. So once we get past that pre-drywall section, we are going to, again, keep on walking the lots, talk about the corrections that need to be made with the builder, everything along that lines, and make sure that after they start putting insulation in, we're documenting the insulation, the drywall, all of your A options, B options, everything in between. And again, we're still walking everything. We do walk the attic at the final inspection to inspect the insulation. We're looking at insulation, any possibility of damaged trusses when they're up there blowing the insulation, anything that might happen after the pre-drywall. And that again will be documented to the builder. If we can catch it ahead of time, we will. But typically, we don't like to go into the attic multiple times due to the fact that we don't want to compress the insulation and ruin your R value of your insulation. Typically, we're going to walk your attic at your final closing inspection. Houses will fail city inspection with 4 compressed insulation. So we try to avoid that. But we inspect before your closing about 10 days before you close, about 3 days before your new home celebration. So that gives the builder plenty of time to address anything that we find in the attic. That leads me to our final inspection. When we do your closing inspection, not our final inspection, but our closing inspection. When we do your closing inspection, we are inspecting the whole house all over again. Everything we've been walking the lots from beginning to end, from form boards all the way to final, we're re-inspecting again. We're going through it with a fine-tooth comb. There could be 2 of us on site, could be 3 of us on site, could be 1 of us on site, but everything gets checked, double-checked, and triple-checked. Every report goes through me before it gets published. I usually audit the reports by walking the house after myself and after my business partner go through the house. And we double and triple check everything. I think it's kind of a nice little filter to catch everything as it goes through. Multiple eyes are, 2, 3, 4 sets of eyes are better than 1. So again, once that report's in there, once that report's done, we're looking at your options, we're looking at cabinets, we're looking at everything in there. That'll be sent through to you and the builder. At that time, you are probably going to be a couple days out from your new home celebration, which is typically about 7 days out from your closing. The new home celebration is when the builder gives you the ability to walk the property, discuss with them any of the defects or anything that you might want to discuss at that time. I will tell you this. There's no such thing as a perfect home. If you think there is, you're fooling yourself. I inspect custom homes. I inspect the homes that are out in Minto. I inspect all the major builders out here. And I can tell you that do not have a preconceived notion that there won't be any paint or drywall defects. There's going to be. We're going to address as many of them as possible in a report. You could walk the house and be like, everything looks great, move in, and then it gets dark outside and the lights come on, gives you a different hue of light, different angle of light. You're going to start seeing things also. I give everybody a couple weeks to move into the house, and I always tell everybody to give me a call, but I'm going to give you a couple of my pointers real quick here. Once you move into the house, put a spreadsheet on the refrigerator, put a piece of paper on the refrigerator. There's things you're going to want to note. You're going to want to note defect, such as paint on master bedroom, see brush mark, see roller mark, nail pop, corner crack, anything that is considered cosmetic. Write it down there. Write down the defect, location, time of day, and number them as you go down. One of the reasons why I say that is when you do your walk with the builder at 30 days and 1 year, the rule of thumb in all construction is 6 feet natural light. If they cannot see it within 6 feet of standing away from the wall under natural light, they are not going to fix it. That is in their policies. That's in every builder's policies. But if you explain to them, like, listen, when it gets dark out, I turn on my light in my master bedroom, I can see it plain as day. That's natural light. Unless they want to come by at 9 o'clock at night and see it, they need to take your word for it. Or turn the lights. They need to turn the lights off, close the drapes, close the blinds, and turn those lights on so they can see it. These are things that are going to help you. The other thing I can kind of tell you is stockpile your cosmetic defects. I'm going to tell you right now, a home, when you move in to the house after it's been built, as that wood sits out in the exterior environment where we've been very humid, very rainy this year, that moisture content is going to be between 13 and 17%. That's perfectly fine. That's not out of the normal. As that house is dried in, you put a roof, you put HVAC into it, you live in it. Over the course of the year, that moisture content in that wood in the house is going to reduce to 8 and 11%. So when you get something wet like a sponge, it expands. When it dries, it contracts. It's the same thing with wood. As that house is curing, not settling. If your house is settling, you got a problem. It's not settling, it's curing. You're going to develop corner cracks. You're going to develop nail pops. Your crown molding is going to separate at the miter joints. All of that is going to happen naturally and naturally occur. It's not the fact that they're doing a bad job or anything like that. That's a natural process of building. That's why they have 1 and 2 year warranties for cosmetics and things along that lines, because they know it's going to happen. Stockpile those items. Don't call Master Care every month that you see a nail pop. Don't call Master Care every once you see a small corner crack, because if you have 1 nail pop, you're going to probably have another. If you have a corner crack, it's not done growing at 3 months. It's going to continue to grow. Now, if it's significant where the wall is completely separating, obviously call them. But if it's a corner crack, just like a hairline crack, it just looks like a normal crack, stockpile it. HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and roof. Obviously call Master Care at that point immediately. You need to get that stuff addressed, which we've had a couple of issues recently that we've gone out and helped the homeowners with those items. So following our final inspection, we're going to put in the system 10 months out a date. That is going to be your 11-month warranty inspection. You've paid us for this. This is what we're going to come back and do. We're going to come back and re-inspect the house all over again. We're going to denote any defects that we see. We're going to re-walk your attic. We're going to re-drone the roof. We're going to walk the house. We're going to put everything into a nice, neat, tidy inspection report. Things we are not going to do during that warranty inspection because we've already inspected. We're not going to age and date your HVAC. We know how old it is. We know how many tons it is. We know who the manufacturer is. Same with the plumbing. kitchen appliances, if they're operating properly, we're not going to go back in and refleer everything just because it's a Captain Obvious report. We're looking for defects. That's what that warranty inspection is to accomplish. Denote defects. Nothing more, nothing less. That report will be sent to you. Now, that report is going to be a responsibility for you to send through to the builder. One of the reasons why I'm describing this to you is I want to explain to you that we put a ton of man hours into the product that we produce. We stand by our product and we stand by our homeowners. We're there to support you 100%. We are a continued resource. So if you close in June and in December or October, we had a really bad storm and you want me to come out and take a look at something, call me. I don't have a problem, but I've got to be able to fit it into my schedule. So the next thing I want to go through, but I'm going to touch on something here real quick here. What I'm going to say is literally affecting the process that I have, affecting the builder's process that they have, and ultimately going to affect your process. So I want to be as clear as possible when I describe this next part that I want to talk about. Access to your phase. If you need to go see your lot, call your builder, call your salesperson, or call me. Do not go walking, do not be driving out there. You're going to get a nail in your tire. If you go into your house and workers are working on it, they're going to stop working and leave. And if they leave, they're probably not coming back that same day. And that's going to put you behind. The other thing is the builders are starting to become very agitated by it. If you're one of my clients and you're walking in the house and they become agitated, guess who they come to? They come to me. They ask me to have a talk with you. So I'm doing this as an old football coach and wrestling coach. I'll tell you this right now. I didn't punish one individual on my team. I punished everybody on my team. So I'm not trying to punish you. I'm trying to have the conversation with everybody in there because we're all a team. We're all in this together. We're all in this to make this a great process for all of you and keep you informed. Please refrain from going to the job site unescorted. Security is denoting license plate numbers. They are talking to construction. They are, multiple times I would expect for them to start really having very firm conversations with all of you if anybody is walking out there, not just with all of you, but whoever is in violation of this. I have no problems meeting you at the job site, but I have to be able to fit into my schedule. A lot of you don't live here in town that I deal with, so if you need me to go and FaceTime you from the job site, as long as I can get cell phone service out there, which is about 50% of the time, I don't have a problem doing it. But please refrain from going to the job site if you live locally. It is starting to become a concern with the builders. There is a lot going on in phase 8. It is a new construction phase. Nobody's living there, so there's no reason for anybody to be out there. I know that everybody has the mindset that it's your home, it's yours. I'm going to tell you the same thing the builder's going to tell you. It's not your home until the paperwork is signed. I've already had a firm talking to by the builders that I need to talk to you guys about this, so I am relaying it to you as politely as possible. If I have a client out there, which I've already had to do in other phases, that refuses to stay out of the job site, I've had to terminate the agreement with them due to the fact of it could jeopardize my business in that area. I don't want to do that to anybody. I don't want to drop anybody on their head or leave them halfway through a process. So, please, if you need to get access out there, let me know. Weather and what to expect. So, weather is going to affect August, September, October, November. We are traditionally very rainy those years of the month. Not saying we rain all day or anything like that, but we typically get about an hour to an hour and a half of rain at least every other day. We are in hurricane season. The waters are at the peak temperature is what they could be. I'm not an amateur a meteorologist or anything. I'm just somebody that believes in cycles and the way things, are very predictable according to the years. We're about a year overdue for a hurricane. I wouldn't say a major hurricane, but a hurricane, category 1, category 2. If that happens, it can delay construction on your home. So, like right now, there's a ton of underground plumbing done. There's a ton of slab prep done. But we've been getting rain, and not just a little bit. If you live in the South Carolina area locally, you probably know we get an hour and a half, 2 hours the past week of just downpours. When that happens, it prevents them from covering up the plumbing pipes. It prevents them from being able to pour the concrete because the substrate is wet and moist, or they have to go back and make corrections due to the rain. Excuse me. So please understand that weather is going to impact things, which is going to lead me to the next thing. I'm going to share a screen with you to kind of walk you through this for those of you that have me as a client and don't have, or have me as your inspector and don't have me as your inspector. Now, we were affected recently by the Microsoft outage with the software that I use called Builder's Trend. But I kind of want to go through a couple things, and I want to show you kind of what we do here. Let me pull up this job. Phase 8. So I'm going to go down here. Let me look here. 22.7. Let's try here. One second, please bear with me. All right, so I'm going to pull up a thing called Builder's Trend. I'm going to share my screen with you real quick. So right here, you are going to see a thing called, this is my Builder's Trend. For me, I see a lot of this on here. It lets me see where you're at. Shows me some pictures that we've updated recently. There's also a thing in here called our schedule. Now, our schedule is an observed schedule based off of 5 years of historical data. What you're going to see from your side as a client is going to be this. Let me reshare this screen. Stop screen because this is a new one. There we go. So this is what you're going to see as a client. It's going to have your name. It's going to have all this information in here of your lot. But it's going to show you everything here for photos. It's also going to show you down here a build schedule. It shows our current weather conditions and what to expect also. This right-hand side right here says view full schedule. You're going to see your full schedule, and you're going to see when we've uploaded pictures, all of that, and where you are. This all runs off of a process called Gantt charting. As things progress, we move on to the next phase. If something shortens and I need to shorten a timeline, I can go in and shorten this timeline. I can go in and shorten anything, but this is going to give you a really good idea where you're at. So right now, let's go back to the beginning here. So as you can see, we have our exterior wall covering on. We've got, our pre-drywall. Let me see here. Yes, our pre-drywall's already been completed. So everything's moving on. These pictures were from let's see here. These pictures were from the 22nd. So as you can see, we've got everything here. Now, if we go down here, exterior paint, we're all right there. We're right on where our schedule should be. Okay. This schedule is going to be updated probably about once every, I want to say, 3 to 4 weeks based on what is accomplished. There are multiple ways you can look at the schedule through a list. of the dates of how it happens. And then also through Gantt charting, you can see how things are going to be attached. As we can move things left and right, you can see how everything is tied together and affects everything. So for my clients, if your Gantt charting is not there, please send me a text message. I've been going through and having to reinstall Gantt charting because of the CloudStrike issue that happened last week. And periodically throughout the month, Buildertrend does do updates. So going back to the weather thing, if we have a rainstorm, I'm going to go into that schedule and I'm going to push things out. But please keep in mind, I have excess pad built into every stage of construction on purpose. The timelines I'm going to give you are going to be extended more than the builder, because the builder is going off a best case scenario. I don't like to go off best case scenario because the best case scenario only happens maybe 2 out of 10 times at best, maybe 1 out of 10 times. So I always say I like to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. So in recap, things are picking up. Please take some notes. I know this is a little bit longer of an update than usual, but please take some notes. Look at everything that I've just given you. I'm here for you guys 100%. For my clients, updates were sent out last week in phase 8. As things progress, we will throw in more updates as they come along. I have some pre-drywalls coming out there next week. Things are relatively ramping up pretty good. Phase 7's coming to an end of its clip. But if you have any questions, please call, email, text. Do not communicate with me through Buildertrend. If you communicate with me through Buildertrend, that Gantt charting, the photographs, everything that goes in, every time somebody in my company messes with something, since I'm the administrator, I tend to get quite a bit of notification. If you hear my dogs in the background, I apologize. They're idiots. Let me know if you have any questions or answers. I will let you know, but I hope you guys are having a great weekend. If you need anything, please let me know, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. And now